I rank where the view is nothing less than phenomenal. For how I express and project from my abdominal. The only view better, both my daddy and my mama know. No living parents, my sons give me balance. My wife is my serenity, this mic is my identity. The world is foul enough, that's why I write without obscenities. Provoking danger with broken language and spoken anguish. Begging to get hurt, why would you ask to go through changes? Yes, Lord, life's a chessboard, master the angles. Control the tempo, be the one who holds the info. Acknowledge is just as deadly as machete swings. When spoken, the truth is as potent as that Medellin. While others swear the style is free, I just let it ring. Our time is undervalued, soldiers make us better kings. My fam's on my shoulder, reaching after better things. Today I take the shot, for them I'd rather set the screen.
My mama told me follow my dreams. My daddy told me get it by any means. Stand tall, make him bow to a king. But I've evolved, you can see the resolve. Look in my eyes when you speaking to God.
Life and for those who we caught up in using what I was taught with the muse. I guess they call it proving I'm more than an artist. Penciling out my darkest while stenciling out a harvest. And storing what gets me from A to B just like garages. Instrumental with collages. Envision what I've been drawing. Broadway to give you rhythm like the great Lena Horne. So bent on, found comfort in the storm. Find peace and on when you see them others perform. Organized chaos, I'll cast it like hey ya.
Yo, party people in the place to be. What's good? It's the number one Chief Rocket, Knicks Universe, your main man, Uncle Freezie. Welcome to this thing we call the Knicks Morning Drive. Y'all want this party started right. Y'all want this party started quickly. Right? All right. Let's go, party people. Let's go. Sorry about the late start. My apologies for the late start. My apologies for not giving everybody a heads up about the late start, but I had a few things to work on this morning, a few telephone calls, but thank y'all for rocking with me. So I'm gonna record parts of this for the audio podcast, and I'm also gonna rock with the Knicks Morning Drive at the same time. So I'm gonna pull double duty if y'all don't mind rocking with your mans. I promise you it's gonna be dope. It's gonna be dope as y'all rock with me, right? Promise you it's going to be dope. I got a specific topic that I want to talk to y'all about this morning, and it's going to be entertaining, right? So first of all, salute to the chat, Chef NYK, JJ, Kerry Cox, Ed Winning, Kerry Cox, the son of the legend, AJ Bula in the building. Delvin is in the building. T. Smith was good. I see y'all. Let me fire up this portion of the thing, and I have to do it kind of in an even voice so it won't be up and down in the audio podcast platform. I'm just gonna rock a little bit on my own. Took me some time to put something together. Just want to run it by y'all. Have some fun this morning. I see Adam in the chat. Adam, what's good, bro? How about those Rangers? Adam? Just ribbing Adam, part of the Blorange Tears family, ribbing Adam a little bit, having some fun. Let me see here before I get started. Just gonna make a few adjustments. Yeah, hold on. Bim, that feels about right. And for those listening on the audio podcast, I just threw on a Scully, right? All right. All right. So let's get started, right? Just bear with me, right? A great rivalry in the NBA is usually characterized by intense competition, a history of memorable moments, passionate fan bases. Some of the key factors that contribute to a great NBA rivalry include competitive balance. The best NBA rivalries tend to involve teams that are evenly matched and consistently competitive. When two teams are competing for the same championships and regularly meet in the playoffs, it tends to fuel the intensity of a rivalry, right? What also fuels a great rivalry is star power. Great rivalries often feature some of the league's biggest and most talented superstars, some of the grittiest stars, some of the ones that we relate to. The individual battle between great players on different franchises can add to the drama and excitement of the rivalry, i.e., what we expect to see from Jimmy Butler over the next week or so, or in the past, what we've seen in Michael Jordan, Reggie Miller's, and Larry Bird's. History is also a factor. When two teams have a long history of facing each other, time and time again, over and over and over, in high stakes games, it can create a sense of tradition and legacy around what becomes a rivalry, because the fans of both sides can draw on these past battles, these past experiences and moments to fuel their passion and intensity towards each other. Right? And geography and cultural differences can fuel rivalries also. Some of the most iconic NBA rivalries have been rivals of two NBA teams nestled up against each other, right? New York and Boston, New York and Philly, New York and Brooklyn, right? Whether it's a big market versus a little market, two big markets going against each other, powerhouses, upstarts, you know what I'm saying, champions versus challengers. It fuels what is a rivalry, or add layers to what can become a rivalry. But most importantly, in my mind, is passionate fan bases. Great NBA rivalries are often fueled by passionate fan bases on both sides. When two teams have loyal and passionate and vocal support, who are diehards in every game, every minute, every moment, every play, it can create an electric atmosphere that only intensifies a rivalry, right? So if you're a Knicks fan, you may be asking, well, Uncle Freezie, who are the Knicks' most passionate rivals? Who are they and why? The rivalry between the Knicks and Celtics date all the way back to the early days of the NBA. It's been fueled by some heated playoff matchups. Some of them very lopsided. Some of them lopsided on the Boston Celtics side, where the Celtics were in the middle of a dynasty and the Knicks were the new kid on the block. And some where the Celtics were old and the Knicks were up and comers. And the Knicks used their advantages at whatever time it was, whether they were the more athletic team against the aging Boston Celtics team, or whether they were a defensive juggernaut against a aging Boston Celtics team, right? But ultimately, think about this. If you're a Knicks fan and you're like, Boston's not really a rival, the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks have met in the playoffs 14 times. The Celtics have beat the Knicks 8 times out of those 14 times. Is that a rivalry? In my mind, yes. The Chicago Bulls during the 1990s, the Knicks and the Bulls had a heated rivalry. It was fueled by several memorable playoff matchups. The Knicks and Bulls faced off in the playoffs 6 times between 1989 and 96, with the Bulls winning 4 of these series. And not only that, Scottie Pippen dunking on Patrick Ewing and embarrassing Patrick Ewing. Anybody remember that? Anybody remember Scottie Pippen dunking all over Patrick Ewing, knocking him to the floor? Anybody remember the Charles Smith layup under the rim? Charles Smith up, he's rejected again. He's rejected again underneath the rim. Anybody remember that? Anyone remember that? Anybody remember Charles Smith under the rim being rejected by Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant? Anyone remember that? Those were quite memorable times, right? The Indiana Pacers. I can hear y'all right now. The Indiana Pacers, I can hear y'all right now kicking over your waste paper baskets at work just at the mention of Reggie Miller, the Gotham Strangler. Right? Anybody remember the Gotham Strangler? Reggie Miller? Reggie Miller going to Spike Lee and looking at Spike Lee and saying, your man is choking. I looked him in his eyes and I don't see nothing. Your man is choking. And John Starks went to the free throw line and missed 2 consecutive free throws. Anyone remember that? Of course you do. Because you guys are diehard Knicks fans. Right? Right? Anybody remember that? The Knicks and Pacers had memorable playoff rivalry in the 1990s and the 2000s. And it was characterized by physical play and intense matchups. The two teams faced off in the playoffs 6 times during that span. The Knicks winning 4 of those series. Right? And the thing with Indiana, and the reason why it was a rivalry is because Indiana may have been a mirror image of the Knicks. Two teams that are exactly alike going to battle with each other for a throne being held by another. The aforementioned rivalry that I mentioned. Right. And last, but certainly not least, the Miami Heat. In the 1990s and early 2000s, the Knicks and the Heat had a fierce rivalry that could only be characterized by physical play, intense matchups, jealousy, pettiness, chippiness. And those teams faced off in the playoffs 4 times between 97 and 2000. And the Heat winning 3 of those series. But the most important one, the most important one, and one of the greatest moments in Knicks history, 1999. 1999. The shot heard round the world by Allen Houston. The shot heard round the world by Allen Houston. Get him out of here. And the Knicks defeat the Miami Heat and go on to the NBA Finals. And there are some moments. Larry Johnson squaring off against Alonzo Mourning. P.J. Brown flipping Charlie Ward. Jamal Mashburn being locked down by a suffocating Knicks defense. There have been moments in these rivalries that will live on forever. Now, this is a new generation. This is a new generation. Some of these Knicks players were not even born when the Knicks faced off against the Heat. Were not even born. Some of the current Knicks, some of the players on this Knicks roster were not even born when Knicks versus Heat was a thing. Someone wasn't even born. But you know what, though? Here's the thing. The Miami Heat want to get to a certain place. But before they get to that place, somebody is in their way. an immovable object, right? The Miami Heat made the NBA Finals on the back of a underdogish team during the NBA bubble, and they would like to get there again. Their culture is built around winning every year, no rebuild. Every year, the goal is win. Every year, the goal, they have one goal, and that's win. That's their goal this year. And I know some people, either skeptics or some people that just like to talk, I know some people, that some skeptics don't believe that the Miami Heat are not all about winning a championship every year, or some people that just like to see words come out of their mouth for no reason will say Miami is not consumed with winning championships. I'm not going to speak to or about them. What I'll say to you guys that know the history, the recent history of the NBA, you guys know that the Heat want to win championships at all cost. And standing in their way is a franchise that doesn't know or understand what it takes to win a championship yet. And that is our New York Knicks. The Knicks hadn't been to the championship since 99. One could say they don't understand how to become a championship team yet. I would say they're on the way. I would say they're definitely on the way. They're trying to learn. They're going to get to a certain point. They have to take it step by step. It's all about process and progress. Process and progress. Starting this weekend, the New York Knicks face off against the Miami Heat with the ultimate, for right now, I say ultimate for right now, prize on the line. For the Knicks, the Eastern, for this version of the Knicks, the Eastern Conference Finals is everything. For the Miami Heat, the Eastern Conference Finals is not everything. They've been to the Eastern Conference Finals recently. For the Celtics, the Eastern Conference Finals is not everything. They've been to the Eastern Conference Finals recently. For the Knicks, however, we can't say been there and done that, because we have not been there recently and we have not done that recently. Stating to you how important it is for the New York Knicks to defeat the Miami Heat, whether in 4 games, 5 games, 6 games, or 7 games, is the ultimate right now in the progress for this team that in the last 10 seasons have been anywhere from 17 wins to 54 wins, but no Eastern Conference Finals. We're talking about a team that had 2 17-win seasons. We're talking about a team in the last, in this millennium, this team, the team in this millennium that has been to the Eastern Conference Finals. And I may be wrong, but I think it's one time in 24 NBA seasons. And I may be wrong about that. I think 2000 was the only time this millennium where this team has been to the Eastern Conference Finals. So when I say to you how important this series is now and for the future of New York Knicks basketball, whatever I say can only be understated, undersold. No matter how much importance, I put on, no matter what rhetoric I use to describe where we are in Knicks history, it will undersell the importance of where we are. And it's not because of Uncle Freezie. It's not because Uncle Freezie needs something to talk about. Nah. And it's not because Keith Turner, deserves a championship so bad. No. It's because this is one step towards something that we think will be bigger and something we think will be continuous going forward. Where we are right now in Knicks history is a step out of purgatory. The Knicks are a step out of purgatory. And as Knicks fans that have suffered for so long, you understand how important it is not to be in that place where you're basically on the hamster wheel of running in place, not going anywhere. The additions you add don't take you anywhere. The draft picks you make don't take you anywhere. The stars you bring in, none of that stuff. The coach you bring in doesn't take you anywhere. The front office you bring in doesn't take you anywhere. But right now, you take a step out of purgatory and it feels good. How good does it feel to be a Knicks fan right now? If you're a Knicks fan in this moment right now, you want to think positive thoughts. You can't really help it because there are only positives to think about. There are only positives to think about going forward. As we approach this new land, which is championship contention, there can only be positive thoughts going forward. Now, as we approach championship contention, we are going to face old problems, but we're going to face old problems in a new way. We're going to face old enemies. On this road to championship contention, we are going to face old enemies. One of those old enemies stands right in front of us. They look at us as an obstacle, and we look at them as a rival. And as we ascend to championship contention, whether those that agree with me, or those that are looking agree with me or what I'm saying, it doesn't matter. The fact remains is the Knicks are in the second round of the NBA playoffs, and they face off against an old rivalry. Whether you in your heart truly disagree with the Knicks being a championship contender, you can't discount the fact that the Knicks are at the moment, a top 8 team in the NBA. At the moment. Meaning the Knicks have a chance to be a top 4 team in the NBA. And if you're a top 4 team in the NBA, 2 on both sides, that means you are a conference finalist. That means you are a conference finalist. And if someone told you when Leon Rose took over as team president that at the end of his third full season as team president, that this team would be a second round team with momentum headed in the direction of a conference finalist, Eastern Conference Finals, I think Knicks fans would take that. And while I'm here, what I'd like to do is say this about a team that we beat in the first round. And I'm going to say this with humility and respect, because I feel like you have to respect your opponents. The Cleveland Cavaliers are a great team. With all due respect to the Cleveland franchise and to their players, you don't win 50 games in this league if you're not a good team. And Cleveland is that. The Knicks beat a great NBA team with a superstar on it 4-1. Salute to the Cavaliers. Y'all had a good season. This time, the Knicks were just better. But that young team has a future. The Cleveland Cavaliers were not a play-in team. The Cleveland Cavaliers were not a team lucky to be there. The Cleveland Cavaliers were the 4th seed in the NBA for the most part of the season. They are a really, really, really good team. Respect to them. But at this time, the New York Knicks are better. And if you're a Knicks fan and you realize that your New York Knicks beat a 50-win team 7 times out of 9 chances, you can't make excuses on how bad the team is anymore. You can't make excuses about Julius Randle. You can't make excuses about Jalen Brunson. You can't make excuses about Tom Thibodeau. You can't make excuses about RJ Barrett. You can't make excuses about Leon Rose. You can't make excuses about Emmanuel Quickley. You can't make excuses about Grimes. This team is a second-round team with the arrow pointing up. And the Miami Heat notices that. But we are in the way of the Miami Heat. The Knicks fan base, myself included, see the Heat as a rival. And the Miami Heat sees us as an obstacle. Something in the way, something in their path. Quite frankly, I feel disrespected by it as a Knicks fan. When you listen to the Heat, they're like, oh, the Knicks don't have this. And not the Heat organization, the Heat fans. Let me clarify. Not the Miami Heat players or franchise. Right? They're going to be quiet. They're going to say all the correct things in the media. But their fans, remember, I pointed out to a specific thing. Right? Remember, we mentioned the great NBA rivalries are often fueled by passionate fan bases on both sides. Remember that? Remember me saying that? Their fans don't respect, or a majority of their fans don't respect the Knicks. Now, mind you, outside of Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, they're whipping out Duncan Robinson and Max Strus and Gabe Vincent and a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of players that wouldn't even be in Tom Thibodeau's rotation. They're getting regular run for the Miami Heat. But they're pointing at RJ Barrett, and they're pointing at Emmanuel Quickley, and they're pointing at Obi Toppin, and they're pointing at Julius Randle. They don't fear that. Miami Heat fans feel confident that they can knock us off. Or I'm sorry, let me phrase it. Let me phrase it in their perspective. They can get by this obstacle and get to the Eastern Conference Finals. The Miami Heat feel like they can get by this obstacle and get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Because to them, they are not even looking at the jerseys or the players. They feel like the Knicks are a team in their way. The Miami Heat feel like the Knicks are just an NBA team in their way, right? They have no feeling towards a rivalry. They have no feelings towards our record, towards our players. They feel like the Knicks are that team that's in their way to the Eastern Conference Finals. How do you guys feel about that? How do you guys feel about the Knicks not even being, for the most part, and I saw it in a lot of different, but before I got here, I looked in a lot of different places. The Heat are thinking like, okay, okay, they're in our way to the NBA, to the Eastern Conference Finals. And my question to you is that a championship mindset? Is that the mindset that we should adopt? Is a rivalry more important than championship aspirations? And as I asked that, the answer to me is abundantly clear. As I asked that, because it dawned on me, like, why are the Miami Heat like not looking past us, but not recognizing that the Knicks are legit? And it's not because it's nothing personal. They don't. It's nothing personal. Like, if we were on fire, they'd put us out, right? But we are in their way to achievement. The Knicks are in their way, an obstacle. The Knicks are an obstacle in their way towards ascension. And just really quick, I just want to do a few things. Let me first say this. Thank you to everyone listening on the audio podcast platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Podcast Index, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Alexa, and all the places that you get your audio podcasts from. Also, Nev the Disruptor and myself have written articles for the Blorange Tears newsletter. You should see them in the description box. Man, please check out the newsletter. Click on the newsletter, subscribe to the newsletter so that you'll get info and written thoughts inside the mind of Uncle Freezie and other staff writers as we jot down our ideas and thoughts and add them to the Blorange Tears newsletter. Nev the Disruptor is an excellent writer. I'm new to the game. I'm trying. I'm new to it. It was an idea brought to me by Nev the Disruptor, so I'm new to the writing game. So check out the newsletter. It's in the description box. Also, thank you for checking us out on the audio podcast platforms. Man, when y'all open the app, download it. Download the audio podcast. Download it. Download the audio podcast, man. Audio podcast is fire. And as usual, thank y'all, man, for y'all support. Y'all have always been great. Thank you for supporting. You know, we're putting out as much content as we can. Yo, Powell is in the building. So thank y'all for supporting us on all these platforms. We're trying to our very best to become one of the big boys, I guess, eventually. We're grinding our way towards that. Thank y'all for supporting us in every way that you can. Man, make sure you check out the links in the description box as you listen to this. Just want to speak to a Eastern Conference vibe just really quick. We saw the Celtics knock off the Atlanta Hawks last night. So on their side of the whatever, it is Boston versus Philly. And on this side, I'm proud to say it's New York versus Miami. New York versus Miami. I'm excited to even say that. As I say that, it feels like ambrosia across my lips when I say in the second round of the Eastern Conference playoffs, the New York Knicks have home court advantage versus the Miami Heat. It is like ambrosia across my lips just to say that. Otherwise is in the building. Kev Middleton, what's good? I see you, man. Hulk TV is in the building. Travel Vibes, you know what it is. Mel Bester, what's good? What's good? Ernesto, Bricks Nation is in the building. Y'all know the vibes. But as I sit here on a mid-Friday morning / early Friday afternoon and talk to you about the New York Knicks in the second round of the playoffs, I guess we get started Sunday, right? Is Sunday when we get started? Chat, let me know. It's Sunday when we get started, right? Let me see. I'm just gonna. Let me see. Go to NBA playoffs. Okay. Kev Middleton says Sunday at 1. Otherwise says Sunday at 1. ABC Sunday at 1. Yep. Man, I'm excited about this place that we are. And Hulk says or asks, who could contain Jimmy Butler? So okay, so let's do a small review then. Let's do a small Miami Heat series preview, right? Let's do a small Miami Heat series preview. Knicks versus Heat. Heat versus Knicks. Right? For one thing, first thing I want to look at is stats, right? I want to look at stats because I think the Miami Heat are the highest scoring team in the NBA playoffs. Yes. At the moment, the Miami Heat are averaging 124 points a game. At the moment, the Heat are averaging 124 points a game. That's crazy. They're taking 89.8 shots per game at the moment. They're shooting 51 at the moment. The Miami Heat are shooting 51.9% from the floor. And I see y'all, but I'm merely pointing out. I listen. I'm pointing out the facts first, and then I'm gonna bring up some other stuff. So just bear with me. I know they played Milwaukee, man. I know they played Milwaukee. I get it. I know they played Milwaukee. I know Giannis was hurt. I understand all that stuff, right? The Miami Heat took 34.2 3-pointers a game, hitting on 15.4% of those threes. And so right now, the Miami Heat in the playoffs are shooting 45% from three. And I understand it. Just bear with me. These are facts. I'm not gonna speak to how it happened, why it happened, or against whom it happened. I'm just gonna point out the fact that it did happen. In the same stretch of games, in the same stretch, the New York Knicks are shooting 43% from the floor. The Knicks are shooting 43% from the floor. And the Knicks are also last of all the playoff teams qualified and three-point percentage at 28.2% from three. I'm just going to point out one other thing really quick, right? One or a couple things really quick. The Knicks defense in the playoffs. The Knicks defense in the playoffs are the Knicks are only allowing 94.2 points per game from the floor. On 78.4 shots. The Knicks are allow Cleveland to shoot 44.9% from the floor. And Cleveland shot 32.7% from three. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. As I get the text from Nev. All right. Nev says this is an excellent piece. He mentioned the newsletter. So based on what Nev is saying, go check out the newsletter. Check out the newsletter. So based on what Nev was saying, check out the newsletter. So here is our analysis. Milwaukee was a paper champion or a paper tiger. Miami smelled blood in the water from game one and took it right to Milwaukee. They took it right to Milwaukee. They smelled blood in the water from game one, and they were out for blood the entire time. They were relentless against Milwaukee. And Rick V just stole my thunder. Rick V says this time off is bad for the Heat. Gonna kill their momentum. It's good for us. Rick V just read my mind like I had it pasted over the cross of my. Rick V just read my mind. So Milwaukee, their defense was suspect from the very beginning and didn't get better. Miami just smelled like a shark. They were like a shark all over Milwaukee and knocked them out. Their paper tiger status was revealed to the world, and now Milwaukee will lick their wounds, probably fire their coach, make some major moves in the offseason, and revert back to the mean. Miami, meanwhile, performed at a pace that was unsustainable. Milwaukee performed at a pace that was, Miami performed at a pace that was unsustainable. Wiz says, I gave you the first flowers for the newsletter 40 minutes ago. Hey, thank you. Hey, thank you, Wiz. Thank you, Wiz. Y'all, man, make sure y'all check out that newsletter, man. That newsletter. I'm not saying that I don't want to make it seem like I'm an excellent writer, but what I am saying is that I emptied my feelings as a Knicks fan onto paper, and I think it's the same feelings that you guys have. Check out the newsletter. Check out the audio podcast. But the Miami Heat are performing at a pace that's not sustainable. Jimmy Butler is not a 45-point per game scorer, and he won't be against the Knicks. And who's going to pick up the slack against the Knicks? My suggestion, and I say this laughing a little bit, I think it's Kyle Lowry. I think Kyle Lowry will be the one that's trying to pick up the slack against the Knicks. Am I afraid of a combination of Duncan Robinson, Max Strus, Kyle Lowry, and Gabe Vincent? You don't sleep on any of your opponents, but I'm confident that a combination of R.J. Barrett, Josh Hart, Emmanuel Quickly, and Quentin Grimes, if he plays, can outperform that group. Chef NYK asked, am I going to be in Miami? I'm going to get checked by the doctor to see if I can travel because I'm still dealing with this down here. So if I'm able to, I will. If not, my heart will be there. You know I want to go. You know I want to go. Don't ask me that. Chef NYK asked me, you know I want to go. Chef NYK asking me that, man. You know I want to go, man. You know what I'm saying? You know I want to be there. You know I want to be there, man. That's a dream for me. Here's my thing too, though. Against in that Miami series, in this Miami series, Jimmy Butler can't be everything all the time. It's impossible. I think the Knicks have too many weapons. I think the Knicks have too many weapons to get into a place where a one-man show can beat them. The Knicks can't lose to a one-man show. Just can't happen. Just can't. So I'm gonna predict. Well, you know what? Let me do this, and I'll save my prediction. I'll give my prediction in a few minutes. In terms of shooting, or in terms of what type of pace, is going to be played, I think you're going to see an average NBA pace. I think the Miami Heat are going to slow this pace down because they don't have the depth off the bench to sustain a fast pace over the course of a best 4 out of 7. I don't think Caleb or Cody Martin, whichever brother, Cody Martin, Caleb Martin, whichever one, I don't think they can depend on him to save them. I don't believe Kevin Love can be depended on in an up and down series, up and down the floor. I think the Knicks will dominate them on the boards, offensively and defensively. I think the Knicks will dominate them in transition. I think the key to each game is how the Knicks close out each game. The Heat are going to try to blitz the Knicks at the end of every game. It's what they do. It's their MO. It's their MO. They're going to try to get into helter-skelter at the end of each game, try to force the Knicks to make uncharacteristic turnovers, get the ball back, win the game at the line, or hit clutch shots. If you're the Knicks, you know this. So you know you have to build at least a 6 or 7 point lead going into the final quarter. I think the Knicks are going to be too physical for the Heat on the interior. If Bam Adebayo ever gets in foul trouble, it's a wrap for them. And in terms of that three-point shooting where Miami was shooting the lights out, I can't imagine a scenario where the Miami Heat shoots 40% or above against the Knicks in any game. I can't imagine that scenario. Here is a factor that may tilt the game or the series completely in our favor. If we get a version of Obi Toppin that we saw in that Cleveland series, Miami doesn't stand a chance. If we get a healthy Grimes, a healthy Randall, Miami doesn't stand a chance. Also, the thing that is in our favor, the most underrated aspect of this entire conversation is you guys. The most underrated aspect of this series against Miami is you. That's right. I'm talking about Sincere. I'm talking about AK, Andrew Collier. I'm talking about Kev Middleton. I'm talking about Bricks Nation. I'm talking about JJ. Y'all heard me. I'm talking about Mel. I'm talking about Chef NYK. Right? I'm talking about Wiz. I'm talking about Rick V. I'm talking about Hulk. I'm talking about Wacko. Y'all are the most important. Not just you guys, but all of you guys are the most important aspect of this series. I'm talking about Soul Fingers. Soul Finger, you and the others are the most important part of this series. We got to be there to support these guys regardless of what, and do it in a positive way. When the Knicks tip off in the Garden this weekend, the Miami Heat have to feel it. The home court advantage. The Miami Heat have to feel it. Unlike anything they've felt before. Corey Lee is in the building. You guys have to, they have to feel it unlike anything they've ever felt before. From pregame all the way through victory, the Miami Heat has to understand that the Knicks are back. The key to success in this series is not Emmanuel Quickley's three-point shooting, though it may be a factor. It's not Julius Randle's passing, though it will be a factor. It won't be R.J. Barrett's defense on Jimmy Butler, though it will be a factor. The key to this series is New York forever. The key to this series is the Hinton Murphys, the Fredericks, the Adams, the Greenie from LIs, or the Greenies from LI. It's the fans. We got to be there 100% of the way. All the differences we had during the season and off season has to be put to the side for a little while. And we have to come together as a fan base and root these guys on. No one guy is important than the next guy. Right? That's what it is. The key to this series is our energy in the garden, the energy that we put in the air. We got to support these guys 100%. The fan base, now's the time we got to set aside all of our differences, all of our different views, and support these guys like we hadn't done in a very long time. That's my key to victory. And here's my prediction for the series. Knicks in 5. Knicks in 5. And yes, I'll even predict the games out there. The Knicks will win both games in the Garden. They'll win the first game in Miami. Miami will win game 4, and the Knicks will close them out in game 5. And wait on the Celtics and Sixers in a 7-game series. It's what it is. It's as simple as that. You are the key to victory. You guys. Right now is not time for we should have traded for Donovan Mitchell. Now is not the time for all the bickering, Tibbs, Musker, all that stuff. We got to stop all that stuff right now. Support our guys. There'll be time for that stuff. There'll be plenty of time for all that stuff. But right now is not that time. Now is not that time. Now is the time for all of us to come together as a fan base, put all of our differences aside, and pull in one direction, one common goal: win. Justin DW, thank you for the generous contribution, boss. Justin DW says, I think this series will be a statement to the NBA. In my opinion, we sweep them with overwhelming defense and show that we are the team that can beat anyone. Let's go, Knicks. Let's go, Knicks. Let's go, Knicks. Man, as I wrap up, I just want to leave you guys with this. Yes, I'm going to be rocking later. I don't know what time for sure. But just got to wrap some stuff up for the weekend before the weekend starts. Nobody likes working on the weekends, you know what I'm saying? But listen, before I get out of here, I want to say this one thing. Win. Thank y'all for listening. Peace, everybody.